Let me first acknowledge and congratulate you on being the first woman of color at Cannes to win a prize. I'm so excited for you for that. Are you just so outside of your body?
I think I'm quite inside my body right now, at least. Which is better to talk to you on the phone, otherwise it would be complicated. No, I'm right here. Thank you.
I noticed that the moon and the ocean were secondary characters to the plot in this particular film, and I was wondering why you chose those particular things, the moon and the ocean, to represent the calmness, the anger, the changing in the energy of the film with the characters of Suleiman and Ada.
The ocean is maybe the first character of the film. The ocean is I think the link in between all the different characters and is the main territory of the film, because it's the one the boys take to reach Spain, the territory where they disappear in, the elements that makes the girls think about the boys once they have disappeared. You know, it's the element that surrounds the whole neighborhood that is open to the unknown, to the other side, but which also enclose the neighborhood. The ocean is the film is named by that character. It's a film about a very specific period where a lot of boys took that ocean to reach Europe, and with some reaching Europe and some dying in that ocean. So the ocean is obviously extremely central and becomes not only a geographical place but a mental territory, the territory of ghosts also. The moon is a really less, I would say the sun is much more important figure than the moon, because it begins to be the moment of shift, from a state to another. It's really at each sunset that the girls and the investigators shift from a state to another. And elements like ocean and the sun, they're working, together into a mysterious pact. The moon is more an element that I used. It's really made to try to give quite precise time marks. Like we begin with the croissant when the boys disappear, and when the moon comes back, we understand that it's maybe 2 weeks after. It's more a time mark, and also obviously reference to a certain gothic tale and fantasy mood. It's a very archetypal fantasy and gothic figure also.
There's so many themes being threaded throughout. The whole situation with the construction workers not being paid properly, the arranged marriage situation. But the thing that I love the most was the energy and the playfulness between the girls and how supportive they were when it came to the arranged marriage. There was that one scene where when they came into the house and they were clowning her like, oh my God, why do you not want to stay married with him? He's hardly going to be here. Why don't you just enjoy the house, have a good time? Why did you feel it was important to show that love and support of these women during this really difficult time where their men have disappeared into this ocean and swallowed them up?
The film is really about them, about these women, and how the disappearance and the absence of men confront themselves to their own situation, to their desires, and Ada, it really confronts herself to her situation, makes her unable to play the game. She's so disturbed and truly destabilized by the possible loss of Suleiman that this disappearance really confronts her to her true self. She's not able to play this social game anymore. It's like the possible death of Suleiman confronts her, and hypocrisy and the strategies her friends are into becomes impossible for her. As before, she was actually about to play the game. She was on one hand with Suleiman, on the other side in the way of marrying Omar, and suddenly it's not possible anymore. I'm very interested by how in Senegal today there is this new form of woman empowerment, which is to take advantage of men without being ashamed of it, like Fanta, you know. She really pushes Ada to use him without any complex. I have no judgment on Fanta. I really wanted to turn her as a comedy character, because to me it has a lot to do with comedy, and I really like the way this girl, she doesn't apologize, I think, that way. It's really kind of a neo-capitalism, capitalist feminism, you know. I'm just very stimulated by turning this situation as a character, because I think it's just really it's really a mirror of reality. It's really the conversation these girls have at that wedding really depicts the actual turn that women are taking, you know. And so it has a lot to do with it's a very, very reality-based character and situation. And I really like the way each in the film is finding their way out to independence, and they have such different relationship to it. And I wanted to work on how Ada is going to search for her own path inside all these different way of life. And what I like about it is that the discourse of these girls are not politically correct, you know. And I was even myself a bit challenged, because my education would tell me it's not good to take advantage of men because it's hypocrite, but I like their absence of morality. I don't like it, but I mean, as an observator, I think it's because it also sounds like a new kind of revenge on men. I really don't judge my character, you know. I really try to film them in their own complexity, and to make understand that their discourse are really a product of economical situation, you know, not a product, a consequence of an economical situation. And it was mostly to say that the film is really about a love story distracted by a social pressure and a certain violent economy. Her friends are telling her pure love and innocent love was absolutely foolish, you know. It's not possible anymore. Like everybody around in the environment of Ada is sending her that message that living an innocent, uninterested love with a boy that loves you back is not something you can afford. In those places, in those class, in the whole political, social, economic situation they are in, the innocence of love is absolutely, it's not affordable. And that's really what the film is mostly about.
I noticed all of that. I noticed the love story. I noticed the ghost story. I noticed the love between the girls and the despair between the girls when they lose their men, and all of the subjects that you mentioned. I peeped all of it, and I loved every single solitary moment of it. As a woman of color, I could wholeheartedly appreciate and relate to what was going on. I wanted to talk briefly about you going from being an actress to a filmmaker, and if that was something that made directing this film really easy for you, or if it was challenging for you because of that.
When I met Claire Denis, I was obviously very young, but I was already a filmmaker. I had already directed a couple of art videos and a short film, and I was at Le Fenois, which is a cinema school, and I was about to shoot my second short film. So I definitely was already wanting to become a filmmaker. And then acting came. I acted in a couple of features and short films, but experiencing acting is definitely something that then it really impacted my way of directing actors in my film, and that really reinforced my relationship to my actors. That is giving me a much more concrete relationship to that, because I'm able to understand what an actor goes through and the needs he or she has, and the way I can help this actor become a character. So yeah, I guess it's just extremely nourishing to go from one to another, and at the end, right, acting, directing becomes one and same thing. You know, it really irrigates. It's very nourishing to be able to circulate from one thing to another.
The music was very haunting, but then very lively, but then very introspective for Ada at different points of the film. So I was wondering, how did you collaborate with the composer to get the right choices for this particular film?
The only musician I thought about for that film was only Fatima Al-Dadiri. She's from Kuwait. I've been listening to her music since a very long time, since 2009. And her music is really influencing me, and I'm a very, very deep connection to her world since always. I think I really needed the music for this film to be a gene itself, to really have a very, very strong spelling capacity. And I think that, especially for a fantasy film, the music has to go beyond the images. For me, the music starts where the images stop, and there's so much you can express through an actor, through an image, but at some point I think music really carries a dimension that nothing else can bring. And as it's a fantasy film which has a lot to do with the invisible, with another dimension, the beyond, the ocean and all its mysteries, and the world of the ghost. I think music is the best medium that really can give a texture dimension to invisibility, and is able to really go very far in terms of emotion and imaginary. So, and Fatima has this incredible capacity of her own personal world is really also very influenced by Muslim culture and by the genes, and her music is a gene itself. It's really put a spell on you, and I really wanted that for the film, and the collaboration went splendid. It's really one of the things that makes me the most truly happy about the film is the incredible collaboration that this film offered me. And working with Fatima was a dream, because my relationship to music is very strong, and I was really waiting for a first big collaboration with a musician. And it's really one of the reasons why I make film, to be able to collaborate with musicians and make them create a score. It's one of the things that I adore the most in making films.
Well, you have put a spell on us, Miss Mati, with Atlantics. It was a gorgeous film. It was thought-provoking. It was intriguing. I can't find enough adjectives to describe how much I enjoyed it.
Thank you for your very kind words.
Oh, absolutely. And thank you for taking time out of your schedule to speak with me. I wholeheartedly appreciate it.